ADR. Promoting dialogue. It's May Day in Dakar, 1 o'clock in Lagos. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and worldwide on wadr.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. Senegal's National Assembly adopts 2025 fiscal budget prioritizing food and energy sovereignty. The Malian army neutralizes over 24 armed men during the weekend. The Gambia's President Barrow vows to protect press freedom in the country.
What prompted the allegation is nothing other than ECOWAS is.
We have noted your concerns. We will do everything possible to have a very good relationship, and we support the media.
And border communities between Nigeria's northwest region and Niger call for diplomatic resolution over recent accusation of terrorism by General Chiani.
What prompted the allegation is nothing other than ECOWAS is actually against the military rule. And they feel now what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is saying, he is saying the position and opinion of Nigeria and Nigerians. But the fact of the matter remains that he is speaking on behalf of the ECOWAS, and in my own opinion, the head of the military junta has actually overreacted.
Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is Augustine Coley with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining us and welcome to our esteemed listeners within and beyond the sub-region. Newslink begins right here in Senegal with a report about the adoption of the 2025 finance bill by members of the Senegalese parliament during the weekend. This budget, worth just over 6 trillion CFA francs, is in line with the Senegal's 2050 strategy, which is the benchmark for the new authority's policies. Through this instrument, the Senegalese executive intends to tackle urgent issues such as energy and food security, education, and social spending, which accounts for a significant share of the budget. Abdoulaye Hassan has more in the following report.
Referring to Article 86 of the Constitution, Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko committed the government to ensuring that the text was adopted before the end of 2024, and thus the budget was adopted without debate on Saturday. The opposition MPs rejected the early passage, arguing that the Senegalese government had ample time to adopt the 2025 Finance Act. This budget, which amounts to just over 6 trillion CFA francs, aims to meet development challenges on the one hand and to consolidate Senegal's social and economic achievements on the other. The Senegalese authorities want to make food and energy sovereignty one of their priorities. A budget of just over 1,000 billion CFA francs is earmarked for improving agricultural productivity, modernizing the fishing industry, and developing the agri-food sector. The education and vocational training sector will benefit from more than 1,300 billion CFA francs, an envelope to modernize infrastructures and meet the needs of the job market. The Senegalese government is also keen to make social issues its priority. 34.5% of the 2025 budget will be allocated to health and the reduction of social and territorial inequalities. The Senegalese government is forecasting economic growth of 8.8%, fueled by the economic recovery.
Abdoulaye Hassan fight that report. In the Gambia, President Adama Barrow says the media is his government's strongest partner as he vows to continue cooperation with the media community. The Gambian leader made the remarks at the country's first ever presidential media dinner at the government house in Banjul during the weekend. President Barrow also promised to look into the concerns raised by the media personnel during the meeting. Our Banjul correspondent Sankule Janko reports.
First of its kind, the presidential media dinner brought together the presidency led by President Adama Barrow and members of the Gambia media community under one roof to cooperate on the country's socio-economic development. The platform, themed Enhancing Government and Media Relations, was designed to bridge the gap between the two sides of the aisle. While acknowledging the progress in press freedom under the Barrow regime, veteran journalist and co-publisher of the Point newspaper, Pap Shen, pointed out some existing draconian laws in the Gambia threatening the media.
We register many challenges in our jobs and we need your support. First, to abolish all draconian media laws. 2, for your government to create subvention for the media because of the constraints they are facing.
Responding to those concerns, President Barrow has this to say.
We have noted your concerns. We will do everything possible to have a very good relationship, and we support the media.
Recognizing the importance of press freedom in a democracy, the head of state vowed continuous respect and protection of this fundamental freedom, as well as promoting media cooperation.
It is no doubt that our strongest partner and our most important partner is the media. As key partners in development and a watchdog for the public, your work as media practitioners is indispensable in a democracy.
To President Adama Barrow's credit, the Gambia has continued to progress in the Press Freedom Ranking Index since he came to power in 2017. However, journalists still face harassment and legal battles for simply doing their job. Last month, President Barrow's legal team filed a lawsuit against 2 journalists for saying, I quote, he has chosen a successor. The charge was later dropped after a dialogue with the Gambia Press Union.
WADR's Banjul correspondent Sankle Janko fight that report. Crossing over to Guinea, where the opposition leader of the Movement for Liberal Democracy has been arrested and taken into custody by the Gendarme's Judicial Investigations Division. He is accused of having made offensive remarks about the president of the transition, though in the General Assembly of his political party. Aliyu Ba is to be presented this Monday to the Public Prosecutor's Office of the Dix in Court of First Instance. Reactions are pouring in, demand of his immediate and unconditional release. Eche Atisu has the rest of the details.
Aliyu Ba was arrested in Pamelap in the border region between Guinea and Sierra Leone, along with some leaders of his political party, Model. He was then taken to Conakry under escort by officers of the National Gendarmerie's Intervention Group. After hours of questioning, Aliyu Ba was placed in police custody for offending the head of state, according to his lawyer, Pepe Antoine Lamar.
He was accused of offense to the head of state. We have highlighted, among other things, the fact that he has silenced religious authorities in the face of the phenomenon of kidnapping and forced disappearances. And at the same time, he has also been accused of having indexed the authorities of the transgression as responsible for this situation.
Socio-political players in Guinea have described the arrest of the president of the Model Party as an attack on freedoms. This remark was reinforced by Faya Milimono, president of the Liberia Bloc Party, and Fatoumata Binta Bari, a member of the UFDG executive board.
What shocked me was to learn that it was Pamela who was being pursued. This is a serious violation of rights and freedoms. The people said that justice will be the compass of the transition, but we have realized that between what they said and what they are doing, it's something opposite, something really unacceptable.
International organizations also demand the immediate and unconditional release of Aliyu Ba. In a press statement, the Guinean forces VIV condemned the arrest of the opposition leader and reiterated their call for demonstrations beginning January 6, 2025 to demand the departure of the ruling military.
That was a report about WADR's Conakry correspondent Chenu Alpha Ibrahim Mbaide and voiced by Eche Atisu.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
We now head to the Sahel region, particularly in Mali, where several terrorists were neutralized during the weekend in the center of the country. The army announced the loss of 1 soldier in combat. It also reports the elimination of a terrorist leader thanks to intelligence provided by the forces of the Sahel Alliance. Details in this report by Christopher Atiju.
The locality of Saye in the San region in the center of the country was the target of the attack. After fierce fighting, the Malian armed forces were able to repel the onslaught of armed terrorist groups. In a press release issued over the weekend, the Armed Forces Information and Public Relations Directorate said that some 20 terrorists had been neutralized. Several other bodies were also abandoned. The army also mourns the loss of one soldier in the clash. 3 other soldiers and 2 civilians were also wounded, according to Colonel Major Suleimani Dembele, director of the DIRPA. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Mali point out that these figures are still provisional. The attack has not yet been claimed. The communique point out that ammunition and equipment of all kinds, including heavy machine guns and improvised explosive devices, were seized. As a reminder, in another communique last week, the military hierarchy claimed to have neutralized Musa Himan Jallo, number 2 of the Katiba Sema, a terrorist actively sought in the Joenza region. This success was achieved thanks to the intelligence provided by the forces of the Sahel Alliance.
Christopher, a teacher reporting there. Elsewhere in Nigeria, reactions continue to trill accusations by Niger's military junta, General Abdurrahman Chiani, that Nigeria is collaborating with France to destabilize the country. Nigerian officials, including the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Security Advisor, have strongly denied these allegations, describing them as baseless. WADR's Usma Umar in this report says residents in Nigeria's northwestern state of Sokoto, particularly those in border communities, are expressing concern over the potential impact of this diplomatic role on regional peace.
People in these communities have lived in peace with many intermarriages, trade and commerce. But following recent developments, residents from border towns emphasized the long-standing peaceful coexistence between communities on both sides, warning that such unfounded claims could disrupt this harmony.
We are not aware of any foreign soldiers that are here in our Nigeria. The soldiers that are living here is only the soldiers that we have in Nigeria. Those are that are in Nigeria, living in Nigeria with us.
A security expert, Murtala Ahmad Rufai, also cautioned that escalating tensions may embolden extremist groups operating in the region, urging both nations to exercise restraint and engage in constructive dialogue.
What prompted the allegation is nothing other than ECOWAS is actually against the military rule, and they feel now what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is saying. He is saying the position and opinion of Nigeria and Nigerians. But the fact of the matter remains that he is speaking on behalf of the ECOWAS and also on behalf of the good-meaning Nigerians. And in my own opinion, the head of the military junta has actually overreacted and he has overstepped his own boundaries.
Last week, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, in a statement defended Nigeria, highlighting its significant contributions to regional peace and security. ECOWAS refuted any suggestion that Nigeria would sponsor terrorism, noting its history of supporting peace across the African continent. The breakdown in security cooperation between Nigeria and Niger has raised concerns about the emergence of new terrorist groups, such as the Lakurawa, from exploiting the situation. Analysts warn that the persistent and growing strength of violent extremist organizations in the Sahel threatens to exacerbate humanitarian crises and spread instability across the region. Both nations are urged to prioritize dialogue and collaboration to address mutual security concerns and maintain the peace and stability of their border areas. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
Liberia's Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Thomas Fala, is calling for peace and reconciliation in Lofa County amidst division from the 2023 election-related violence. The highly anticipated peace dialogue aims to reconcile supporters of the ruling Unity Party and the main opposition Congress for Democratic Change in the northwestern part of Lofa County. Grace Joshua in Monrovia completes the story.
The dialogue followed recent violence between supporters of the ruling Unity Party and the opposition Congress for Democratic Change during the 2023 presidential and legislative election. The violence resulted in at least 2 deaths and several others injured. The Liberian National Police, in the aftermath of the clash, arrested, charged, and sent to court some suspected perpetrators of the violence, but the trial is yet to commence. Speaking at the program, Deputy Speaker Thomas Fala called on citizen and party loyalists to support national development by embracing peace and reconciliation. Fala said the elections are over and now is the time to work together in maintaining the peace within the country.
In my own little way, what we can do to help the people of Foya, and I cannot do it alone. It's not going to work. It's not possible. It is a collective interest. We put our hands on decks. We put our hands on table. Yes, we can achieve it. Yes, we can make it work. Yes, we can have progressive development that we need in our districts.
President Joseph Boakai, for his part, reaffirmed his commitment to reconciling Liberians, which he believes can be achieved through the culture of accountability. Amidst the growing call for calm in recent days, especially with the leadership crisis in the House of Representatives, the presidency hoped to maintain peace with the level of support and reconciliation effort from across the country.
Grace Joshua Monroe verified that report. You are listening to Newslink on West Africa, Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Here is a reminder of the top stories. Senegal's National Assembly adopts 2025 fiscal budget, prioritizing food and energy sovereignty. The Malian army neutralizes over 24 armed men during a weekend attack. The Gambia's President Barrow vows to protect press freedom in the country. And border communities between Nigeria's northwest region and Niger call for diplomatic resolution over recent destabilization accusation by General Chiani. Still ahead in the news, we have the press review, guest interview, and sports news. Please stay with us.
You are listening to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal.
Thank you for sticking with us. As a reminder, we broadcast live 24/7 on wadr.org. Let's now take you to Cote d'Ivoire. With less than a year to the presidential election, the vice president of the PPACR, the party of former President Laurent Gbagbo, clarifies his position while he is said to have intentions for the 2025 presidential election. Awa Domelo recalls that Laurent Gbagbo remains the party's only candidate. Oge Obiorika has the details.
For several weeks, rumors about Awa Dommelo's candidacy for the next presidential election have been circulating on the web. Recently, the vice president of the PPACI even benefited from a support movement to run in the presidential election of October 2025. No question for Awa Domelo. According to him, the former Ivorian head of state remains the choice of the PPACI for the presidential election of October 2025.
PPACI activists have chosen President Laurent Gbagbo as their candidate, and we had discussions well before this convention so that we could agree on the strategy and the choice of Laurent Gbagbo and the reasons he is campaigning for this choice, because it is the best profile for us. It is a winning profile.
Concerning the possibility of replacement in the event of the withdrawal of former President Laurent Gbagbo due to ineligibility, the former minister says he is ready if he is designated by the party leader.
What is certain is that all politicians who entered politics with an idea have the ambition to play a leading role later. If they retire tomorrow, there will be several Laurent Gbagbos who will continue, because the most important thing is not to kill the idea. And so it will be a joy for me to accomplish this mission, because I am a man of mission. If Laurent Gbagbo puts me on a mission, I will fully assume this mission.
On the question of the ineligibility of former President Laurent Gbagbo, Awa Domelo believes that he is the victim of an injustice. He, however, called on activists and sympathizers to unite to obtain the rehabilitation of the former head of state.
That was Abidjan correspondent Abin Ade's report, voiced by Oge Obiorika.
This is the newspaper review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the newspaper review.
The newspaper review.
Well, let's take you back to Nigeria and rejoin Usma Umar for the press review.
We begin today with the Punch newspaper, and it's leading with this story. Nigeria and Niger border towns in fear over brewing row. This followed, of course, a video circulating on the social media by the junta leader Abdurrahman Chiani of Niger, accusing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of having a hand in the instability and crisis in his country. Of course, ECOWAS and had already defended the Nigerian leader. A couple of other stories. Federal government sympathizes with South Korea as 179 die in plane crash. And another story, Nigeria gets World Bank $1.5 billion for subsidy removal tax bills. Thereafter, further stories here quickly. Telecommunication companies threaten service cuts over rising costs. And then we move to the Nation newspaper, which is leading today with this story. Direct payment of allocation to local government area councils begins next month. Of course, this followed the Supreme Court judgment that permits the federal government of Nigeria to send local government funds directly to their accounts, as against the former practice of sending it into a consolidated account at state level, which was, left at the mercy of the state governors to decide what to do with the funds. Now, another story, Edun Bagudu lists benefits of Saudi-Nigeria Parley. Of course, Wale Edun is the Minister of Finance. Then Bagudu is the Minister of Budget and National Planning, who, of course, are talking about the benefits that will come from Nigeria and Saudi Arabia relationship. Lakurawa, immigration sets up surveillance at borders. Before we take leave of the Nation newspaper, engineer pledges to tackle water scarcity, others in communities in his state of Anambra. This is the much we have for you on this segment as I hand you back to the studio.
Thank you, Usma Umar, for the press review.
Politics, analyses on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
This segment of Newslink takes us back to the Gambia, where President Adama Barrow says the media is his government's strongest partner as he vows to continue cooperation with the media. Our guest is Mohamed Ba, the outgoing president of the Gambia Press Union, who speaks with WADR about how the union considered the president's latest statement.
It's a great move because, according to what the president says, it was aimed at strengthening the relationship between the government and the media as key partners to development, enhancing our democratic gains. And he acknowledges the importance of the media as the voices to the masses and the voice to the voiceless, and media helping in shaping government's policy direction. And also the media had an opportunity through Mr. Pap Sen, a veteran journalist, who also highlighted some of the challenges.
Would you mind explaining to the public what are the specific laws the Gambia Press Union wants the president of the nation, Adama Barrow, to repeal?
Yes, the laws which include the false publication and broadcasting law, which is in the criminal code. Also, the repealing of the Official Secret Act, which was a colonial law that bars public officials to give out information to the media and the public in general, and also, repeal or change the GRTS Act, which is GRTS 2004, which establishes the state broadcaster to make it more vibrant, transform it into a public broadcasting rather than a state-centric broadcaster. Among the laws also is some of the laws that are embedded in the Information and Communication Act, one of which is to gives powers to state security apparatus to confiscate journalists or individuals' gadgets without any judicial oversight. They are very comprehensive, but just to cite few, these are some of the laws that are mainly used by government against the journalists.
Is this not a strategy by the President of the Republic of the Gambia to cement his broken relationship with the press, especially after he had taken the Voice newspaper and its editor to court?
Yeah, It could be one of the things that after realizing the role of journalists, that we are not enemies to the state, we are partners. Probably he wished to use the opportunity to highlight the importance of journalists and show who we are as a country, that we also have a responsibility to hold the government accountable to the people, which he reiterated during our engagement.
So what would you like to say as we take leave of you about this entire move now by the president? How does it help the Gambia Press Union, and how does it also indicate that the Gambia Press will remain very independent?
Absolutely. It will remain independent, as ever before, because now the president has recognized the role of journalists in holding them to account. He cited that. And also, it will also maybe deter party supporters to attack journalists, because both the oppositions and the Barrow's party himself, one time, few times, they have attacked journalists during the campaigns. So it will be a signal that these people are very important, so we have to allow them to do their job in this country.
Mohamed Ba is the outgoing president of the Gambia Press Union. And here is Sankule Janko with sports.
Hello there, a warm welcome and thank you for joining us. Nigeria's local Super Eagles secured a 3-1 win over arch rivals Ghana to book a place in the African Championship CHAN 2024. Quick goals from Sadiq Ismail, Nduku Jr. and Savio Isaac in the first half provided decisive, with Stephen Amonkano scoring a consolation for the Black Galaxies. This follows a goalless draw in Accra, Ghana. Meanwhile, Senegal defeated Liberia 3-0 to also secure their place thanks to goals by Omar Ba, Bay Cisse and Majon Bay to secure their ticket to the tournament. In Bamako, Burkina Faso overturned a 2-goal deficit from the first leg against Cote d'Ivoire. Goals from Abubakar Traore and Frank Kante leveled the aggregate score, forcing penalties. The Stallions held their nerve, converting 4 spot kicks to the Elephants too, securing their spot at CHAN 2024 according to CAF official website. Elsewhere, Guinea confirmed their superiority over Guinea-Bissau with a 2-1 away win, completing a 6-2 aggregate triumph. Goals from Mohamed Selou Bangura and Nabi Bangura ensured Guinea's qualification under coach Suleiman Kamara Abedi. The Central African Republic CAR achieved a historic first qualification by eliminating giants Cameroon in a stunning 2-1 comeback in Bafoussam. Mauritania and Mali played to a goalless draw. Thanks to their 1-0 win in the first leg, the Morabitans of Mauritania secured their qualification to the next year's finals. And Niger also secured their spot in the 2024 African Nations Championship CHAN following a goalless draw against Togo in their second leg encounter. And that's it for sports. It's back to you.
We've come to the end of this edition of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Christian Mukidi and Umu Danyogo for the technical support. To interact with us via our social media platforms, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR News, and on Facebook, WADR English Service. Coming up at the bottom of the hour is a read-through of WADR's flagship health program, Well Buddy. I am Augustine Kelly. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, New Me FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7.